Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Today we are going to learn. The topic is probability. I'm going to repeat the concept of probability is the probability is the chance of occurrence or non-occurrence of any event. Probability always lies between 0 and 1, and the main objective of the probability to calculate the uncertainty. I have a proper definition. The probability is a measurement of uncertainty which prevails behind the occurrence or non-occurrence of an event, and that clearly shows that we are going to find a probability where the situation is uncertain, unsure. If the situation is certain and sure, then we will not find any kind of probability, and we have to know the probability concept before any experiment. So what is experiment? Experiment is the process of obtaining outcome of the uncertain events, or we can say a complete process with the specific purpose or specific objective. So we have two main kinds of experiment. First is experiment, and second is random experiment. Experiment is any kind of phenomena where we want to um, we have a complete process with the non outcomes. Like for example, we have hydrogen 2 and the one oxygen element. We are adding those, and we are getting water, the formula. So we knew that about the outcome of the experiment. That we can say it's a simple experiment. The random experiment, we don't know about the outcome of the experiment. Like any die, we are rolling a die and we are expecting the probability of the 6, and we don't know about the outcome of the experiment, either the probability the 6 is occurring or not. And even we are tossing a coin and we don't know about the head is coming or not. So that's why we can clearly define the experiment and an experiment in a complete detail. Again, we have the next step in this sample space. Sample space is the complete possible outcomes of an random experiment. For example, we have a die, we have 6 possible occurrences. So these 6 occurrences would be like we can say the complete outcomes of an random experiment in a die. Die is we are playing, and you know that about the, if we have two different dice, we can say dice. So we have many kind of experiments. Every experiment have the total outcomes would be say like sample space. So event we have explained in the last lecture. Again, we are repeating a main involve two or more outcomes simultaneously. We have many examples regarding this. This contingency table shows the cards descriptions and cards detail about the ace and not ace and versus black and red. Everybody knew that like black total black cards are 26 and red cards are 26, and the ace are 4 and not ace. We are just subtracting from the 26 uh, uh, 2 from 26 and coming 24, not ace black and not ace red. So tree diagram also display in the bottom, like in the again experimental outcomes. We have gasoline, diesel, and different kind of vehicles, and we want to find the tree diagram. We can easily explain by using the diesel and gasoline and the versus truck, car, and SUV type vehicles. So today topic is we are going to present the probability assigning a classical probability, relative probability, and the subjective
Yeah,
approach. We have 3 different kind of approaches. So I will explain in the last. If you have any questions, please note down, and I will explain in the last, please. So Classical probability, we usually find any kind of experiment that's in the last. I'm just writing if you want to. Uh, just a minute. Okay. So this kind of probability, usually we can say n of a, like here we have to use the e as an event, e divided by n of s. So usually we can use this formula. The number of favorable outcomes, nominator we usually say like the number of favorable outcome divided by all possible outcomes. So usually we are using the classical probability assessment formula. And in the initially last lecture, we have solved many kind of questions. For example, we want to find the probability of head from a coin. So what the possible occurrence are head and tail two, and we are using two as a number of sample space, and uh, sample space is we have head and tail. So here are two possible one and two possible outcomes. So that's why we are using two in a denominator. So n of e is number of heads. So how many number of heads? Only one. So that's why one. So we are using 1 by 2 is the solution, is a form answer of the one head in one coin. 1 by 2 we may write it as 0.5 and maybe 50%. So we can find the probability by three different express. We can display the probability answer outcomes in three ways: fraction method, and here is a decimal method, and the last is percentage method. So we have three different ways to explain probability. In the other hand, we have relative frequency occurrences. This relative frequency usually we can find uh, when we have this fixed sample space. Like we have many examples. One of the example is we have a cards, a pack of the cards, like 52 cards. We have n is 52. So we can find the probability of black cards. So black cards are 26, and this again the red cards are also 26. We want to find the probability of the red cards. The red cards are 26. Just we are using 26 divided by 52. That's it. The probability of red cards are 52, like 1 by 2. So again, we can use like this. So subjective approach, we can read then the all opinion and judgment by the decision maker about likelihood of an event. So all the concepts are clear in by using your own judgment. We can find any chance. Like you are going for the shopping, and you have five different choices to select, and which is more better, where we have less price and the more quality and the good quality. So that's why you on upon your own choice you can select any kind of like suiting shoes and any kind of that you want to buy. So that is your target, that is your subjective approach to select any kind of uh, material, any kind of things that you want to buy. So on your own judgment, on your own opinion, you can select any kind of uh, chances, like occurrences. So now we are going to forward the next step. Like we have rules. Rules are like individual values and the sum of all values. In the first step, usually you know that the probability lies between 0 and 1. So we are starting the value from zero. Zero means like we have no any like chances of occurrence of anything. Like one chance is a wish to sure event. Like we can say that certain happens. So probability lies from zero and one, and in the next the right side you can say see that. So usually probability, total probability is one. So what is the mean of total probability is one? Like in any experiment, the total probability always lies from zero and one. But we are summing all the probabilities, then we will get that one answer. For example, we have a coin and we have the sample space. This is head and tail. Probability of head is 1 by 2, and the probability of tail is 1 by 2. So if we want to add like probability of head plus probability of head tail, and we will get like 1 by 2 plus 1 by 2, it's coming 2, 1 plus 1, again we are getting 2 by 2, it's coming 1. So that's mean that like you want to find any kind of probability by using all the events of that particular experiment, and you will get the total is 1. So any question, I hope the questions you will ask in the end of the session. So in the next step, we are going for the complement rule. The complement rule, usually we have any kind of events, we have the total probability is one. So if we are is subtracting from the one, the total is one. The one we are subtracting that particular event from the total from the one, and you will get the complement of that particular event. Like if we have E is the event that um, you have seen in the first rectangular. This is E, the first event. If you want to find the complement of that particular event, so just you are just subtracting that particular event from one, then you will get the probability of the complement event. So I will explain you. I can explain like in any example. The E is like one, two, three. So like we have one total, and we if we want to get the probability of the um, this concept is given by the example given from the probability concept. First, you have to understand from the initially from the event side, then you can find the you can realize by using the probability side. So this is a very important thing. In the last you have seen that if you probability E is the passing probability, for example 80% chances of your passing. So what is the chances of failure? Like 20%. Just we adding both, then 100% to 100% means one. So it's a clear picture of the game is the 80% plus 20% is total 100%. 100% means one. So it's also it's this is an example of the complement and the original event is summing all the things, like we will get the one. So